My name is Evangelos Diabolitsis. I'm a Dharma teacher, and what that means is I've studied Buddha Dharma with a couple of Tibetan masters for over 20 years. I'm also a movement facilitator and meditation teacher and a behavioral money coach. And that's what Four Ways to Freedom, which is a company I started with Nishta. And yeah, we're doing coaching and we're doing retreats and we're giving public talks, essentially with the purpose of alleviating unnecessary worry, unnecessary stress, unnecessary struggles in these difficult times. And we're here in our house in Lago Maggiore, which is a lake and mountain region north of Milan, Italy. And also, I want to let you know that there are many people here from the Middle East, and I'm an invited guest to this talk, inspired by Lena. I'm going to spotlight Lena so everyone can see her. This is Lena right here. She's in Dubai right now. She's my friend. She's my colleague. She's my student, producer, collaborator, and creative instigator. And I met her a few years ago, and we've been doing some workshops together in the Middle East. So if you're anywhere other than the Middle East, you're an invited guest into this world. So thank you to Lena and thank you to Nishta for organizing this. And again, this is connected to a retreat. It relates to a retreat that Nishta and I, who I can't actually see. Oh, there she is. Nishta, that's my wife there. We're going to be teaching in Dubai, November 11th to the 16th. A retreat called Inner Evolution, but this is a talk that's useful to anyone seeking meaning in their life, understanding around the body, around survival, and around consciousness. So I first visited Dubai, the Middle East, I think it was about 5 years ago. And people really warned me about how dangerous this part of the world is. And I didn't know anything. I'm a traveler. I'll basically travel anywhere because I'm the adventurous type. And when I traveled there, so many people told me and warned me how dangerous this part of the world is. Normal, sane people were warning me that I would be robbed or kidnapped in Beirut. And I was nervous about going to Dubai. It was my first time going to the Middle East. So they inserted into my field of awareness a story, a danger story. And what I ended up discovering was a wonderful world that was the exact opposite of what people told me. I met intelligent people, warm people, and I had wonderful experiences. And in Beirut, I would have strangers constantly invite me to their table to eat with them. I never had that experience. So there's a reason why I'm telling you this, is so that you know that the world is full of stories. I just want that to land. Human beings love stories. Our world is built on consciousness creating stories, many of which, in fact, most of which are false. And they're dangerous. So have you noticed your own stories, projections, concepts, and false ideas? So we do this all day long. We do it to ourselves. If you can just mute who's ever unmuted, that would help me. So we have stories about who we are, what we see, and who we long to be. So I just want you to check into yourself right now and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now about this moment? Take a moment. Are you telling a story to yourself? What's the story you're telling yourself in this moment? Just check in for a minute and listen. Breathe and listen. Are these stories true? Stories about your body, emotions, thoughts. Right in this moment, are they true? Is it true that you're tired or alone? Is it true that you're freaked out? Is it true that you're hungry or angry or stressed? Or whatever the case may be, are you fully present in this moment with all that is happening? Are your evaluations true? And try and quiet your mind a little bit more. And focus on what you're present to right in this moment. Sounds, breath, whatever it may be, and try not to judge it. So for those of you who are at the retreat in Italy a couple of weeks ago, you know I love my bells because the bells give a transition point, a start. It tells us that something sacred may happen. Now everything is sacred, but that depends on how we open up to it with our present mind, with our presence, with our awareness. So it's not dependent on what I say, it's dependent on your state of engagement. So the world is run by stories. And I love stories. I'm Greek. Greeks love stories if you've ever read Greek mythology. And stories are what make the world go round, and they're colorful. Imagine a world without stories, without movies, without novels. But it's important to be aware of the stories we tell ourselves so we don't cause harm and injury to others if we hold on too tightly to our stories and our evaluations of reality. So we become and we attract the stories that we project. We become our stories. Have you ever noticed that? What did Rumi say? Don't be satisfied with stories. How things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth. So what is your personal myth today? So you attracted this public talk today, and Nishta, Lena, and I, we attracted this audience. So let's see what happens today. So leading up to this talk, Nishta, Lena, and myself, we had some success with our money and purpose embodiment retreats. And I thought the topic this time should be how to become a gazillionaire. We're going to go all the way with this money theme. We're taking it to the limit. And a gazillionaire is obviously richer than a trillionaire or a billionaire. So what am I talking about here? Well, we tell ourselves stories about our worth relative to others. Have you ever done that? Have you ever compared yourself to others? The measure of success now is either Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Anything less means that people might not feel successful or on their A game. So I had a student, and she had been studying with me for many years, and she would often say to me that she wants to be bigger and richer than Oprah, and that is her destiny. She would repeat it over and over again in the coaching. And for those of you that know me, I can be quite direct. So I said to her, you tell yourself that story about being bigger and richer than Oprah because you don't feel adequate. You feel inadequate. The reason somebody would want to be bigger and richer than Oprah is because they feel insecure or isolated, and they need to pump themselves up to feel worthy because that's what we're being sold. And we're all being sold. We're living in a consumer information world. So in other words, the need to be something or something special is strongly tied into the feeling of being a nobody or being nobody important. Oh, I'm nobody important. Well, you're important because you're original, because there's no other you on the planet. But we're not that original because I think it's something like 99.9% of our DNA is the same. It's that 0.1% that makes the difference. I might have my numbers off on this, but I can't remember that stat. So this client who I worked with for many, many years, she might prove me wrong one day and be bigger than Oprah. But the only way that's going to happen is if she realizes that she doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. That's the only way to be a great human being. That's freedom. That is one of the qualities of being a gazillionaire. I am who I am. And that is a mystery a lot of the time. So 20 years ago, people weren't so obsessed with becoming rich and famous, but now people are very obsessed. Even 50 years ago, there was a survey, and 18-year-old girls surveyed out of high school said that being famous was the 42nd most important thing in their life. But then they surveyed 18-year-old girls in 2018, and they said that being famous was the second most important thing in their life. Number two, I want to be famous. And of course, happiness is number one, which makes sense. So if I'm famous, if I can't be happy, I'll be famous. And if I'm famous, then I'll be happy. Is that true? Well, most famous people say, be careful what you wish for. And now it's over the top in terms of wanting recognition. The ego wants recognition. And then I had a student who wanted to be he wanted to be the richest man in the world. And I asked him why, and he said that he'd be able to help people. And he's already worth quite a bit financially speaking. And I said to him, can you do it without that large amount of money? And his response was, well, I don't think I'd be as effective. But the truth is, you can be as effective. These are all stories of the ego about worth and value that people take to be real. You don't need to be Oprah or a billionaire to help people. You just need motivation and a heart of gold. You need to be a gazillionaire. That's what we mean when we say a gazillionaire, which means you practice unconditional love for all beings, which means you have their welfare in your heart and in your mind and in your body. If you can do that and see all beings as that, then you're a gazillionaire. It's like the South African mother forgiving the murderer of her son and asking to raise him as her own son when he got out of jail. That's a world-class gazillionaire. That takes a lot of heart courage to do that. So many people I coach have a similar story. The story is, I'm not good enough, and I'll be loved and respected once I'm someone with money, prestige, and recognition. And I'm here to say that that's not true. That you are good enough, you are loved, because the whole universe is loving you right now. You were born out of love, a whole universe. It took a whole universe to create one being. What do they say? It takes an entire village to raise a child, but it takes an entire universe to raise a conscious, loving human being. That's evolution. We're born out of love. We come from the stars and we're born of the earth. So let's have another meditation here. And I want you to quiet your mind, find a comfortable position, and tune into your breath. Find a comfortable position and tune into your breath. Feel your spine. Recognize your spine. Feel your belly, the engine of the body. Feel your heart, the wisdom of the body. And feel your breath. Life's fuel, your life's fuel, breath. You're being breathed. Allow yourself to be breathed. And with every breath, relaxing and settling, letting go. And I'm going to ask you a question, and you don't need to figure anything out. Allow the answer to come organically. And the question is, what did you come to this earth to do? What did you come to this earth to do? And just listen. Listen to that inner voice. Listen to the mother light speaking to you, not your birth mother, not your earth mother, your universal mother. What did you come to explore? What would make your life complete? Just listen. Did you come to be rich, famous, a billionaire? Is that what you're built to do? Are you built to manage billions? Do you want that responsibility? How about being a gazillionaire? Are you on your way to being a spiritually realized being? Have you set yourself up to study your own consciousness, or are you too busy? What are you busy with these days? Is it useful? Don't judge, just listen. Don't create a train wreck of self-judgment. Just be aware. Listen to the voices. If you can't hear the Mother Universal voice, be aware of the voices blocking it. Okay, and open your eyes. I'd also love to see some of the people I know, since I haven't seen you for so long. I'd love to see you on video. It would be a gift to me to see you on video. I did see some of you on video and then you turned it off. The anonymity of Zoom. So what did Jim Carrey say? I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey, and not Jim Carrey the actor or the performer, Jim Carrey the human being. Nisha and I just saw a documentary about him, about his craft, where he transcended his own ego, and we both went, wow, what an amazing human being. And I remember once he said, I wish for everybody to be rich and famous so they could know how horrible it is. and don't get me wrong, I want you to be rich and famous. I want conscious people to be rich and famous like yourselves who come to these talks, because of the positive influence that you can have. But I also want you to be rich and famous so you can study it up close and personal. So many people would rather be rich and famous than have unconditional love in your heart. It's not that they're mutually exclusive, right? But a gazillionaire has unconditional love in their heart. And so what if I said we could train you, Nishta, Lena, and myself, we could train you to be gazillionaires. What we mean by that is we could train you because everything we're pretty good at, we got trained in. And what if we could train you not to worry about money or people liking you or success or obsessing about success or fitting into a somewhat obsessive consumerist world? And like I said, it's not that we coach people. We want people to be affluent, but we want people to be affluent so they don't have to worry about money. So you can continue your evolutionary mission of spiritual realization. And the planet's health is dependent on that message landing with as many people as possible. And training to have unconditional love in your heart is a training. It's not an automatic, right? And what I've noticed is even humans who say they don't care about money or have a concern for the environment and concern for other human beings, they still act in a covetous way of money, success, and resources. And the world is confused about priorities, right? So we have the priorities wrong. So my priorities are people first, purpose second, compassion, planet third, and profit fourth. And people are like, no, planet should be first. And I'm like, no, people first, because the planet can just take care of itself. The problem is the people on the planet. And purpose is second, because you need meaning to get out of bed and engage in this world. There has to be, if you came to the last retreat, it's called telos in Greek. You have to have a really deep meaning in your life. And collectively, and I'm not, again, saying anyone here, we have, I'm talking about the planet, we have an obsession with material wealth to cover up our loneliness and our spiritual deprivation. And you might as well go all the fucking way then and become a gazillionaire. Why not? Why settle for a billionaire or even a trillionaire if there's going to be a trillionaire in our lifetime? Why not just be a gazillionaire, which includes monetary wealth? But it's a changing of priorities. And all the evolved spiritual people I know have a very healthy and financially abundant and conscious relationship to money and resources. It's just natural to share when somebody is in a good state, when somebody is feeling luminosity. So what's a gazillionaire? So I'm going to define a gazillionaire for you. It's a person who lives in radiance. You know those people that they're sparkling light? It's a person who lives in the present moment. And a gazillion, for a gazillionaire, making a billion or a trillion is a little bit of a joke for them, because the whole inner and outer world is full of priceless diamonds. Their mind shines like a diamond. Their mind shines like a million radiating suns, pure gold. So our consciousness is much more valuable, rich, and has more potential than anything that we know of. Now, you can call consciousness spirit, you can call consciousness source, you can call consciousness your Buddha nature, your true nature, your original nature. So my goal is to be a full-time gazillionaire. I can't say I live there. I can't say, oh, I'm a full-time gazillionaire. I aim to be. Through this talk, I'm also a student, and I'm learning through this. So I'm not always a gazillionaire. Sometimes I go into being a low-end trillionaire, some of the time forgetting my inner wealth and getting caught in my own projections, fantasies, hurts, emotions, delusions of thoughts. So I go in and out of the glimpses of being a gazillionaire, but I've touched it enough to go, oh, the gazillionaire. Unfortunately, because life is so busy and there's so much happening these days, and aggression and polarization, I'm also find myself spending a little too much time, let's say, as a trillionaire. And everyone knows I'm being, I hope, metaphorical here. I'm training for, and this is a dirty word for some people, perfection. Perfection of love, perfection of trust, perfection of presence. And the reason why I'm training for that is the people I've met that I love the most, they actually embody that. And I've even met a few people that seem to have never fallen off of the graces of the gazillionaire club. Nishta and Lena are a little bit more wealthy than me. They're more upper high-end trillionaires. That's why I'm giving this talk and they're not giving this talk. They don't need words. they just radiate naturally what I need to share with you in words. And words are just energy. But what I'm saying is beyond the words. I'm basically a talkative Greek monkey with a voice. And, you know, look, pin Nishta and Lena. I'm going to add Emma in there because I've worked with Emma and I see when she shines, when she teaches. Pin them, Emma Leach. Just look them in the eyes once before you leave and see if you can see the gazillionaire being reflected back at you. Your true nature. Pin them on Zoom. Maybe I should spotlight them now, but I don't want to freak them out. But they're used to me freaking them out, so I think it's probably okay. So I was born a Greek with philosopher roots. And philosopher means a friend of wisdom, but I don't seek just to be a friend, but to embody wisdom itself. That's what our workshop is going to be all about. Walking our talk, dancing our talk, moving our talk, mindfully being present with what we believe are our personal values. That's going to be in Dubai in November. It's about the inner revolution, or it's a play on words. I like words. Inner evolution. It's about embodying wisdom. And we've all had glimpses and long glimpses of being a gazillionaire. And our job as teachers is to guide you into living there. And I didn't use the word facilitator because I'm not a host at a restaurant. I'm a teacher, and I've been taught to guide people into living there. But I'm only a guide. I also have guides, by the way, many guides, because I'm stubborn and I fall from grace often. But you have to walk there, dance there, meditate there, investigate through the door yourself into the gazillionaire lounge of joy and presence. So this talk is basically meant to inspire you to do some work to remove the obstacles that you might not know are there, the stories, the opinions, the blocks of the thinking mind. When I say mind, I mean consciousness. When I say thinking mind, I mean we forget about the container and obsess about what's in the container, which is thoughts. There are there's not that many gazillionaires on Earth, but there are a few, and there have been a few, and we need more. It could be you, Jochen, Christine, Nada, Jenna, Rima, Haya, Piera, Prema, Randa, Antoine, not just part-time visitors, full-time. We need full-time visitors. That's just the people on the first page, by the way. So Buddha was a gazillionaire, Muhammad was, Jesus, Gurdjieff, Paramahansa Yogananda, Namgyal Rinpoche, Kapel, Hamachi, the hugging saint. So here we are together. This is an original moment. It's in the present. It'll never be repeated again. So let's not settle for the plain old pile of shit society sells us as success. Become a gazillionaire. Fuck that billionaire and bazillionaire and gajillionaire shit. Go all the way. So what are the qualities of a gazillionaire? Well, they don't create unintentional stories, but they do create intentional ones for liberation and for creative play. I'm not saying don't have stories. Stories are fun. I love stories. Right now, I'm playing the story of the wise Zoom public speaker, but it's just a story. afterwards, I'm going to get off and I'm going to start another story, which is going to be cleaning my house and all the dust bunnies because I haven't cleaned for weeks. That's also a story, and a beautiful story. So a gazillionaire does what needs to be done. They live in harmony with nature, and they live in harmony with the universe. They live in bliss. They live in clarity, and they live in uninterrupted awareness. I just want to repeat that. Uninterrupted awareness. They're not going to give it up for anyone or anything. Praise, blame, loss, gain, shame, fame, pleasure, pain. They're like, no, I'm not giving this up. I'm not chasing and I'm not recoiling. I'm standing here and now. So the gazillionaire can't ignore the world they live in. In other words, they've abandoned ignorance. And I don't mean ignorance like, I'm not saying that they're smart, they're just aware. They're fully present and constantly curious and going, what is this? What is this? Why do I want to be a billionaire? Why does Jeff Bezos keep making more money? What's motivating him? The gazillionaire lives in the light. Everything is made of light, reflected and refracted light. The gazillionaire serves others. The gazillionaire becomes materially wealthy for the benefit of all beings. And it's easy for them to manifest whatever they want and need because they know that this world is an illusion. It is a play of consciousness. I'm getting excited. Let's close our eyes for a moment, and I want to play a little game called Let's Manifest. Okay, we're going to close your eyes. So you have this wonderful consciousness with unlimited potential. So manifesting in abundance is very popular these days. I've used that myself to teach. So let's play Let's Manifest. Let's manifest a pink dog. Can you imagine that? Just manifest it in your mind. Don't worry about reality now. A pink dog. Let's manifest a beautiful river in our mind. Let's manifest a nice meal in our mind. Let's manifest the perfect lover. Let's manifest New York City. Let's manifest a sailboat. Let's manifest the perfect dress. Let's manifest the perfect sound system. Let's manifest world peace. Let's manifest a rocket ship. Let's manifest a purple giraffe drinking a margarita. Okay, and open your eyes. We could go on all day. Consciousness can just produce ideas and all day. Now, if we played that long enough, doubt would creep in and old stories would cause suspicion. Wait a second, do I want to manifest this? What is this? No, I can't do that. Do I want to manifest a lot of money? They're just old movie reels on repeat. Now, what is stopping us from manifesting on the outer plane is a different story. There are rules in the world of form, right? I can't really manifest a pink giraffe or dog, and maybe I guess if I spray painted it, but that wouldn't be very nice. So there are rules in the world of form. Oprah is rich and famous because she worked her butt off and she has talent. The question is, how did she become a talented question maker, an interviewer, not how did she become a billionaire? Being wealthy is materially wealthy is usually, but not always, the result of some kind of skill and perseverance. So consciousness can imagine anything. What we actualize is dependent on skill, intelligence, and many other things. So let's have another meditation here. Let's have another meditation and close your eyes. So in terms of living the life you want, what skills are you currently underutilizing? Just listen. What practical skills are you currently underutilizing? Just contemplate all the skills you've amassed up until this point. They're all in there, accessible, available, at will. So skills are practical. And what are the qualities of your humanity that have been buried due to overwork, stress, and distraction? What qualities of your humanity, skills are practical, qualities are inner states, have been buried due to overwork, stress, and distraction? Just listen. So open your eyes again. So being a gazillionaire is the result of cultivating practical skill with the qualities of the open heart and the clear, luminescent mind, consciousness. And for that, we need stillness. And there is a skill to understanding wisdom and the blocks to wisdom. So when I say wisdom, I mean awareness. When I say wisdom, I don't mean intelligence. I mean spaciousness. I mean radical self-honesty, living on earth with dignity, living with an open heart without excuses, even though we've all been hurt and the heart does close. But I'm talking about being a gazillionaire, a full-time gazillionaire. So just tell us in the chat box, what are the blocks to wisdom? What are the blocks to the spacious, open, fully present, creative, loving, wealthy heart? What are the blocks to being a gazillionaire? Let's see what comes up in the chat box. Fear. Yeah, fear. Self-doubt. Fear. Control. Disappointment. Egoism. Judgment, emotional pain, fatigue, old stories, lack of confidence, regret, anxiety, fear, lack of self-love, traumas, self-importance, stress, mind, social pressure, judgment, lack of faith, duality, creating separation, staying small is safe, impatience, yeah, this is our truth, our collective truth in this Zoom call. So the Buddhists often will say, because I'm a Buddhist, although I consider myself more of a universalist than a Buddhist, but that's what I've studied the most. But basically the blocks are greed, hatred, confusion, jealousy, and pride. Greed, hatred, confusion, jealousy, and pride. The 5 passions. Thank you, Nancy. But let's go into a little bit more detail here in terms of what blocks wisdom. I like my lists. I'm a very list-oriented person because it helps me remember things. So these are, I call the clues, the 55 clues that an unconscious block or hurt is up for you. A clue that this block, this obstruction, is keeping you from being a gazillionaire. 55. If you aren't in any of these 55, then probably, well, actually, I want to come over to your house then. If you don't say yes to any of these 5, I would really like to come to your house, by the way. now. I'm just going to get on a plane right as soon as this call is over. Number one, comparing myself to another person. 2, obsessing and talking to yourself, or obsessing or talking to yourself about being rich. 3, needing to prove something to someone. 4, trying to defend yourself. 5, seeking approval from someone. 6, saying yes when you don't really want to. 7, speaking aggressively and violently to someone. 8, not listening to someone who is talking to you, but instead planning what you're going to say next. 9, talking about someone in a negative way. 10, overindulging yourself. 11, neglecting yourself. 12, adding something in or leaving something out, exaggerating or distorting when telling a story. 13, getting pushy or pressuring someone. 14, doing something for someone for a payoff, such as being seen as kind or good, rather than just to meet their needs. 15, hurrying, rushing, being frantic. 16, laughing at someone, not with them. 17, being depressed, silent, moody, and expecting others to read your mind. 18, being consistently late. 19, hiding anger. 20, arguing. 21, worrying. 22, joking about someone who isn't present regarding their weaknesses. 23, sucking up or brown-nosing. 24, putting someone down in your thoughts or to others. 25, being silent and waiting for someone to ask you what's wrong. I just did that last night, actually. 26, hiding your hurt and being tough, brave, or above it all. 27, suffering or enduring in silence, but secretly feeling like you're better than because of it. Deferring the truth of what you think, feel, or want. Equalizing, i.e., if I made a mistake, then I look for the mistake in others. 30, looking down on or hating any group. 31, pitying someone, secretly feeling better than. 32, obsessively looking for a distraction, fun, thrill, or fear experience, a la Netflix. Endlessly making plans. 34, responding to one's plans being thwarted or delayed by pushing harder with anger or making more plans. 35, being conscious of or obsessing on my feelings of confidence, security, superiority, being conscious of or obsessing on feelings of lack, inability, insecurity, and inferiority, believing and acting as if I don't need anyone. 38, worshiping someone. 39, waiting to be saved or trying to save others. 40, trying to impress someone. 41, avoiding things because you're afraid rather than just feeling fear. 42, doing rash or dangerous things in an attempt to push past or control fear rather than feeling fear. 43, feeling like you can't live without someone or something. 44, being closed-minded about others' points of view. You know this, we know this. The polar opposite views of vaccines. It makes me want to puke, yawn, boring. Let's all get over that. 45, acting from a preconceived should, either for oneself or someone else. 46, picking a fight. 47, having to be first or most healed. 48, having to be worst or the most in pain. 49, being accident prone, constantly injured or injuring oneself. 50, being jealous and possessive, trying to get vengeance, being clingy, desperate, or demanding. 53, acting different in the presence of someone with power, authority, wealth, importance, or beauty. 54, being two-faced, acting one way with one person and differently with another person. I think I'm going to have to take a nap after this. 55, self-sabotaging when things are going well. Now, when you say no to all of those things, then you're a gazillionaire. Can you do it? Yeah, you can do it. Is it hard? It's fucking hard. But if you're aware, you can do it. Awareness is the key. It's not that they don't arise. It's that if you're aware, they dissolve. If you live in the present moment, things are going to be pretty good most of the time. So the gazillionaire lives in the present moment. And so to cultivate the gazillionaire, we need loving kindness for all beings. That's how you cultivate a gazillionaire. Compassionate actions. And for me, I define compassion as helping others be more empowered. It doesn't mean you're just soft and gushy. It means your action is helping lift them up to a new level of plane and oneself. And in order to cultivate your inner gazillionaire, you need to bring joy to every room and every person, that it's contagious. To be a gazillionaire, you got to practice mindfulness and being calm, focusing the wild monkey mind, not just in meditation, but in all actions. In order to be a gazillionaire, you have to practice generosity. You have to have patience. You can't waste energy on foolish people who are caught up in the loop of consuming. You can spend some time with them, but just not too much time, because they're going to bring you down. Pay attention to the details of how thoughts, feelings, and sensations interpenetrate and influence one another. These are the inner qualities I just stated of the gazillionaire. And the outer gazillionaire has belief, imagination, determination, common sense. They have a reasonable and achievable plan of action. It's like, yeah, I've planned this out. They're constantly learning and adapting. They cultivate innovation and creativity by doing new things outside of their preference mind. They make time and space for themselves every day. They spend time in nature. They're physically healthy. They eat well. This is my personal favorite that I put on this list, which is an evolving list over years. I'm basically giving you 3 years of coaching and teaching in an hour and 15 minutes, by the way. So trust that your body and your mind can integrate this. And this is an important one for cultivating the outer gazillionaire. Don't be loyal to an employer that is not interested in your spiritual unfoldment. Let me repeat that. Don't be loyal to an employer that is not interested in your spiritual unfoldment. This is what you came to Earth for. Do you remember? Close your eyes and try and remember, why did you come to Earth? So we came to Earth for many reasons, and it's all one big mystery. And for me, it's remembering to live in the mystery. I call them mystery riders. Do you want to be a mystery rider? A gazillionaire is a mystery rider. So at the Inner Evolution Retreat in Dubai, we're going to work on removing the hurts by sweating, by moving, by exploring, by meditating, and opening up our personal gazillionaire key. And the key is hidden from us. We can't give it to you, but we're going to point the way. We're like, hey, I think you should go through those doors. So we're going to study the energy of the blockages, the relationship to self and other through all of our trained movement, mindfulness, and Dharma teachings. And maybe you have to go to work, or you're like, I can't go to Dubai, that's too far, and there's flight restrictions, and that's okay. But never forget that the seed of being a gazillionaire is inside you. Be more loyal to accessing and cultivating and nurturing that seed than anything else. And when you become a full-time gazillionaire, that's attractive and has enormous benefits for the planet. Just like a part-time gazillionaire, or a regular guest gazillionaire, or an infrequent gazillionaire. It's the type of wealth that no one can ever take away. Not even death can steal that inner wealth from your soul. So ask yourself this question: do you have what it takes to be a gazillionaire? Who wants to be a gazillionaire? Who is a gazillionaire right now in this moment? No excuses. Anything other than yes is you're believing the story and the lie, because right now you're a gazillionaire. You just need to remember. It's just remembering. So let's close this. May we continue to live with a sensitive and responsible awareness for the whole ecology of life. May we train ourselves to act responsibly with our resources. May we find deeper meaning in our daily activities, and may we dwell more and more in the authenticity of our human spirit. Namaste.